Good afternoon, Chapel City Church. This is Pastor Matt coming to you with the weekly update, and we are 1 week closer to getting back together, and hopefully, like many of you, I'm anticipating that very, very much. There's a lot of things we're looking forward to, a return to normal, a return to being able to get haircuts. If you're like me, the plan is today, but I don't know when that'll happen. But just the idea of getting back to what things were. And it's important to understand that when we start to come back together, things aren't going to be exactly like what they were. We're still going to be under some spacing restrictions. We're still going to be under some guidelines that we have to try our best to follow, not just out of submission to the government, although that certainly plays a part in it, but out of a care and love for our fellow members, some of whom are dealing with underlying health conditions, some of whom are at just a higher risk in general. So we're going to try and take all of those things into account and worship well together in whatever capacity we're able to. So let me give you a little bit of an idea of what that might look like for some of you who come on one of these next few Sundays. First of all, the very first step in that process is we need to know if you and your family want to come. Send us an email, info@chapelcity.church. Give us your name or your family name and how many of you would be in your group, because family groups can sit together, but then we have to have some spacing between groups. So we want you to come. We've heard a lot of people with very, very good intentions say they won't sign up so that they don't take somebody else's spot. We admire that. We love the care for the body. However, if you want to come, we want you to sign up. We want your name in that pool, first of all, so that we can have you here to worship with us. And second, so we have a realistic understanding of how many people to expect, to anticipate, to prepare for. We have enough slots over the next 3 Sundays, which is how long this order lasts until the whole thing gets reevaluated, to get everybody in who would like to come. And if you want to come, we want to make sure that you're able to be a part of that. So please, please sign up. And if you have any questions about how to do that, you can call the office, you can call me or send me an email, and we'll walk you through that. But what will it look like when you actually show up on your assigned Sunday? Well, you'll get an email, a phone call, some notification the week before you're going to be able to come. We'll let you know, hopefully, with as much detail as we can, not only what service you're going to be at, but where you're going to be sitting in that service. We're going to have assigned seating to make sure that we use our space as efficiently as possible. So you're going to know a pretty good deal about what's going on before you get here. Now, when you come, everybody's going to come in the same entrance. No matter where you park, everybody is going to use the main entrance on Ventura Boulevard. Those doors are going to be propped open to limit touching and all of those types of things. Our ushers and greeters will meet you there. They'll help you find out where you're at. But before you even come in the building, there's going to be some things that are different. If there's a line while people are waiting for their seats, we're going to have marks on the ground showing you where 6 feet of spacing is. We're going to have signs up that remind you of some of the symptoms that we're going to look for. Have you had a cough? Have you had a fever? Do you have any of those underlying symptoms that might mean that you're not only at risk, but that maybe you might put others at risk? We'll ask you to think through whether those things characterize you. We want to make sure that we're keeping people as safe and healthy as possible. And then someone will bring you in and they'll show you where you and your family are going to sit. Kids are going to be with their parents. Family groups will stay together. There's no other ministries. There's no child care. There's no youth services for right now. Families will worship together, which is not a bad thing. By the way, maybe it needs to be said, if you have little ones, we would rather have you and your family here if you want to be here than for you to worry about noise. They're part of the church family. I have 4 kids. I can talk loud. They can turn my mic up, and it certainly won't bother me. We want your family here if you want to be here. You'll come to your pew, you'll sit, the rest of the church will be sat around you. We'll have our time of worship and singing together, and while we sing, we're going to be required to wear masks. That's the kind of the highest risk time, is our bodies, when we sing, when we yell, when we project, produce a little bit more of that wonderful particulate matter that everyone is very and rightly concerned about. So we'll wear masks during our singing time. Those will be required so that we can kind of mitigate that risk as best as possible. After singing time, we'll study God's Word together, and then we'll be celebrating communion, not only this week, but for the next 3 weeks. Whenever you're here in person over these next 3 weeks, we want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to celebrate the Lord's table in the company of other believers. So we'll celebrate communion every week. That'll be those same prepackaged elements that have been getting delivered to your homes that you've been coming to pick up. So there will be, again, no touching there. You'll have everything pre-laid out and pre-packaged and pre-portioned for you. We'll partake of communion, and then when the service is over, we're going to dismiss you very much like a wedding. It'll be rows and sections at a time, and everybody's going to go out through the same doors. Those will be out the side of the building, not the doors that you entered from. We're going to have a very one-way kind of flow to things. There are going to be signs. There are going to be people there to help you, and there are going to be people there to encourage us to move on through so that we can get the next service cleaned and sat, because between every service, we're going to have to do a full cleaning of the facility. When you come, it's going to feel different. When you come, it's not going to feel like normal. But when you come, I can promise you that there will be joy still in seeing your fellow believers face to face. And that brings me to the next section, really, and that is that we are going to have two different groups of people. And I've said from the very beginning that what I don't want in our body is division, and this has the potential to set that up. What we are not going to have is a group of holy and righteous people that decide to come on Sunday morning and a group of fearful people who decide to stay home. Those that come are going to come out of worship, and those who stay home ought to stay home out of worship. You might stay home because you have an underlying health condition. You might stay home because you're caring for someone with an underlying health condition. You might stay home because the idea of getting your family here and all your little ones is a tremendous hurdle to think through until things look a little bit more normal, or even until the system has got some of the bugs worked out. And we want you to know that not only are we aware of those considerations and not only are we okay with those situations, but we encourage you to think through those situations. And if you stay home to the glory of God and worship with us virtually online. It is certainly different than it has been, but it is no less a joy to worship with you that way. We know that you're there. We'll continue to support you in any way that we can. And again, we support and pray for you during those decisions. If there are any questions that we can answer, and we're sure that there are some, please let us know. We know that this is a different time, and we know that there's probably going to be more questions than answers, and maybe even some things that change in the midst of this. Know that we're prayerfully working through those decisions, that we're doing the best that we can, and that we want to be responsive and receptive to input that you might have. So in-person services will start this week. We're capped at 58 plus staff and a few seats left open for visitors that we're prayerfully hoping walk through those doors. That does limit our capacity. But if you want to come, we want to make sure that we're able to get you here. Sign up, look for other videos that walk you through the process, and we look forward to seeing you again as soon as possible. Chapel City, God bless you. We miss you. We're praying for you. We'll see you soon.